And everybody's going about 68. That's the real speed limit is either 64 or 68, depending on the state. But it's not what those signs say. So in dysfunctional families, the rules are very covert. The roles are very rigid. So we can think about alcoholic families as a dominant kind of dysfunctional family. We can think about incest families, eating disorder families. These are the kinds of families I described in the series in the book. Workaholic families. Any kind of addiction is going to seriously dysfunction a family. And it's really important that we understand that. And the more secret the addiction, like sexual addictions, the more that covertly will be affecting the family. You know, because there's secrets going on. Like I worked with a gal, and this gal had been to at least 7 psychiatrists that I know about. Nobody had ever gotten to what the secret was. After 18 years, off and on, I saw the family 4 or 5 times over 18 years. The mother finally came in one day and told me all the secrets. That the grandfather had been an acting out sex addict, that he had 500 pornographic videotapes, that she and her husband used to watch porno flicks every night, that the husband had had intercourse with her pretending like it was the daughter, and the daughter was the one that was in all the trouble. And the woman would play out the role of the daughter in the same family. See, now the daughter never knew any of this, but did she? In family systems theory, she knew all about this. It was impacting her life enormously. Father was a very wealthy man, quite a successful businessman, would never come into therapy, still to this day has never come into therapy. Control, rigid, controlling, but carrying this sexual secret. See, for rigid, controlling people, the only way you can be out of control is in your addiction. So almost always control and rigidity, which are cover-ups for shame, will lead to addiction in some other area of your life. But that'll be the secret area. So I talk about the orange family, the eating disorder family, where there's this authoritarian, dominating, born-again father, millionaire. Mother is an Easton School graduate, hates the guys, wanted to leave him from about the 6 months they've been married. This is 18 years later. When I see the family that the 63-pound anorexic daughter has brought into me, who is the scapegoat, who's carrying all the pain in the system, all the rage in the system, who is just like her father, Spartan, controlling and rigid. She's a wonderful runner, but she's dying. Who for whom a feeling equals eating, because the feelings are so painful in his family and none of them are being dealt with. And, some of you read about that in the book. I described this whole family, the dynamics in this family. And then by the time, what I did in that therapy is worked on the mother's anger. When we began to get the mother's anger out, the daughter started getting well. I'm happy to say this daughter is fully functioning human being right now. She was dying. But we didn't treat her, we treated the mother, and we treated the marriage. Because in family system, the marriage is what's important. Look, you have a workaholic father, he's in love with his work. You have a mother who is dominated by the father's work and is enabling the father's work and is obsessed on the father because he's never there for her. He's obsessed on his work, she's obsessed on him. Who's there for the children? So you can't come from an addicted family and not be not emotionally, boy, this is good English. You will be emotionally abandoned. Daddy's an alcoholic, he's in love with alcohol, mother is obsessing on daddy, who's going to be there for the children? You will be emotionally abandoned. You can't come out of one of these families and not be shamed. Shame means there's no time for me. I'm worth less than the time. What happens then in these families is that the children have to start taking care of the parents' marriage. The children have to give up their own reality, and this is the tragedy of codependency, which is really having a shame-based self, that I can't be me, I have to be somebody else. See, a codependent is a person who doesn't know who they are. The disease of codependency is a disease of false selfhood. I don't know who I are. I don't know what I feel, I know what you feel. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. I sort of fall into wants. I sort of accidentally go through life and react. rather than act, rather than choose. Right now, I'm choosing things for the first time in my life in the last 5 years. I'm making choices about my life for the very first time. For the very first time, my life is not a multi-generational accident. I mean, it's awesome when you think about it. That for the very first time in my life, it's not a multi-generational accident. And that I'm making choices. I don't know what I feel, I don't know what I need, I don't know what I want, because all my needs got shamed, all my feelings got shamed. You see, if you have a mom and a dad, I love this Bob Subby drawing, where, you know, he draws a figure, and then inside the figure there's another figure. That's a picture of an adult child. There's an adult here, but there's also a child in there who never got their needs met. Well, what happens when one of these meets another one of these, and they get married? See, here are two people who look like adults, talk like adults, but there's two little starving kids inside who both have holes in their soul. They meet, they fall in love, and they enmesh. Now we're one, and then there's all kinds of support for that. 2 in 1. 1/2 times 1/2, my better half, equals a fourth, by the way. And that's exactly what happens. But they start having a family. So here comes little Farquhar. And often little Farquhar comes because this little girl says to this guy, you can be the daddy I never had. Now that doesn't come out in courtship, by the way. This only comes out after you're married. 2 weeks after you're married at the breakfast table is when this comes out. And this little guy over here and this adult says, oh boy, she can be the nurturing mother I never had, because in courtship you were nurturing each other. There was this symbiotic bonding, and you were just, being wonderful for each other. Because you go back to primary codependency, the healthy codependency, the symbiosis. And if you didn't have that, you were narcissistically deprived, you didn't have that, you're going to be real in danger of being a love addict. Falling in love with love and just loving the sensation of being in love. And it just blow away. It's like drug and addiction and trance, and you're out of your gourd, and the sex is oceanic. It's you go back into the cosmic dust and the Big Bang. It's wonderful. I'd do it every week if I could. And the new person, everything about them, it's just the way it should be. You just see everything. You're in the now. And you focus on their nose and their ears and their smell and their voice. And my God, if we could really live life like that, it would be fantastic. But the second you get married, boom, these two little kids come out. See, and all that courtship was a suck-in. Because it looked like this person was going to nurture you like you really needed to be nurtured. See, so in my book and in the series we talk about you got to heal this inner child, or else they'll be looking for a mother and daddy for the rest of their life. And a lot of the work we do in healing, how do we heal these dysfunctional families? A lot of the work is grief work. It's grief for these kids to get it that they can never be kids again. I can't set any of you guys up as my daddy. I can't set any of you women up as my mother. That's what I try to do all my life, beginning with Holy Mother Church when I studied to be a priest. Gave up my sexuality and embraced Holy Mother Church. You see, and that was going to take care of all my needs and get me salvation. If I gave up my sexuality, I'd be a little less than the angels. I don't know why the hell anybody wants to be a little less than the angels, but you get that? So you go through your life looking for a parent. There are 4 patterns that happen when you come out of dysfunction. One is you'll enter into addictive relationships. You will keep choosing a person that has the negative and the positive traits of the parent that you're most wounded with, in the hope that this time you can work it out. Then what else you will do is you will distort what's going on in order to set up the original situation. What Alice Miller calls the logic of absurdity. We'll keep reenacting it in order to try to get it done. Until we heal these children in us, these inner kids that got wounded in these families when you took on these roles and you gave up your authentic self. Until we heal that, we will go through life reenacting the family scenario. So it's like having never left home. You die never knowing who you are. And people do that. That's the greatest tragedy I know. Willy Loman, The Death of a Salesman, is a drama, a great Aristotelian drama that celebrated not the Oedipus, the king hero, but the low man, Willy Loman, who died never knowing who he was. Now that's the greatest tragedy. What else could there be that you die and you never knew who